Welcome to the second ever episode of the WrightBet presented by First Star Logistics. We are live in the First Star Logistics studio here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host, Daniel. Daniel, we've got a lot to talk about today. Week 2 NFL is underway officially, and I got to say, man, I'm pretty pumped up. Before we get into all that, like we always say, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It means the world to us. We appreciate you guys for spending your Saturday mornings with us. Want to highlight something though. As you guys know, we have our show Monday and Wednesdays, the Sit Down with Malik Wright, where it's me, Daniel, and our co-host Meg. Uh, we did a little bit of a raffle, right,
Yeah.
for the right for one of the First Star employees to get a chance to go into the money machine, and we had a winner. We had Mike DeMoss get the opportunity to enter into the First Star money machine on Friday, and I think we have the video clip of how Mike did. Mike, congratulations, man. Yeah, you did a fantastic job. You certainly did better than I did the first time I entered into the First Star money machine where I think I only put out $100 something. He pulled out 474 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Mike. Seriously, man. Mike, I got to say this, man. You're motivating me to want to get back in there. And I know I won't be getting in the money machine today, but I will tell you this: we're gonna make some money today. Obviously, with some sports bets. We got a lot of games, got some boxing fights, and some UFC fights we got to get into. Without further ado, I'm going to kick it off to my main man, Daniel Alameda. So, Dan, you can take it away.
Malik, it's awesome to be back here, and we've got a lot in store for you guys. We're going to be talking UFC right off the bat. We're going to talk boxing, and then we're going to hit the NFL. We've got some huge player props, so stay tuned to the end. And if you want our full UFC bets, go subscribe to the Patreon, link in the description. But we're going to start it off with the main fight. That's the only fight we're going to break down. Corey Sandhagen versus Song Yadong. Malik, I absolutely love this fight, right? We've got 4 others that we love, but this is one that I also am going to throw in my parlays. I'm going to take a straight bet. So Corey Sandhagen, I love him to win this fight, right? A lot of people like to look at this bantamweight division and say, well, there's killers at the top and Corey Sandhagen doesn't belong. No, trust me, Corey Sandhagen does belong in the top of the division, right? He lost to TJ Dillashaw. He lost to Piotr Jan, but he put up good fights in both of those. And some would even say that Corey Sandhagen won in the last fight against TJ Dillashaw. So now he's going up against Song Yadong, who is not one of the elite fighters, the top 5, top 3 in the division yet. But Corey Sandhagen is going to outclass him, and that's why he is a heavy favorite, minus 270, something like that. So I'm going to throw him in my parlays. So, Malik, I love Corey Sandhagen.
Well, Daniel obviously likes stealing my thunder because I was going to say the exact same thing. We don't agree on much, but we find ourselves agreeing here. Corey Sandhagen, I think he's on a different level. Think about the guys Corey Sandhagen has lost to. They're former champions. They're guys that are contending for the belts. I think Song Yadong is the future, right? He's one of those guys that will be an absolute stud, a star in the years to come. But I think Corey Sandhagen is a guy that he's experienced. He's experienced, and I think that this is the first 5-round fight of Song Yadong's career. And I think Corey Sandhagen, he's obviously been a part of 5 rounds. He's been a part of interim title fight, things of that nature. So I definitely think this is a fight that Corey Sandhagen is going to win going away. And it really shouldn't shock a lot of people to see this happen. Now, I will say this. For all the praise that I'm giving to Corey Sandhagen, Song Yadong does have the power to put anybody's lights out at any point in time. And he has real power in the bantamweight division, and I think he can give Corey Sandhagen problems. I think the only thing that I'm finding right now is I don't think Corey Sandhagen will be there to be hit. So I think that for that reason, I'm going with Corey Sandhagen to win this fight, outpoint him. I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight. And if there is, it might be a late finish, maybe a fatigue TKO on the part of Corey Sandhagen getting the victory over Song Yadong. But yeah, for those of you guys, I wouldn't really put this on a parlay. If you ask me, I would straight bet this one. I like Corey Sandhagen to win this one. I really do.
Oh yeah, and let me remind you guys that we were 5-1 on our last UFC card. So make sure you go subscribe. We got a full bet for today's card. We're gonna switch it up to boxing. This is the first time, I guess we talked about it on the sit down with Malik, right? But we've got a huge fight, Canelo versus Golovkin, GGG. And I'm not necessarily going to play either side of this, but Malik, I know you've got a huge prop that you found yesterday. Break it down for us.
Sure. I was laughing because Daniel said GGG. It's Triple G.
Triple G.
But Triple J.
Same thing.
But it's fine though. He's not necessarily the most popular, if you will, amongst younger boxing fans and things of that nature, because the guy doesn't really talk too much. He just kind of goes in there and does his work. He's a workman like. And the reason I guess the prop bet that I found that I think most sports bettors would find very very interesting is Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. They fought a combined 24 rounds with one another. Combined 24 rounds, and nobody has ever been knocked down once. Furthermore, neither one of the guys have ever been knocked down in the career. Right? So you think about all the fights that these two have between each other. The fact that neither one of them have ever been knocked down. In the prop bet, I was doing some digging, doing some research. It was sitting at minus 110. Right? To me, that's like stealing money. You guys ever seen Jamar Chase or any of these receivers? They come out and then they do the pull the mask down. That's like absolutely committing a robbery, right? Legally, if you will. Minus 110 for Triple G or Canelo not to be knocked down in this bout. Sign me up. I think you take that one to the bank. I think that's the type of prop bet you throw 10 units on, if you ask me. So I personally that's one I'm hammering. Listen, the best, I would say the best, what's the saying called? It's like what you've done in the past, basically, right? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And what their past behavior has shown me is that neither one of these guys are the type to get knocked down, get dropped, any of that kind of stuff. These guys have taken each other's best shots over 24 rounds, and they kept, walking tall, kept walking forward, things of that nature. So, yeah, you guys want to prop bet to hammer? You could pick a winner, you could, and do all that kind of stuff. But I think the easy one to go with is just neither fighter will be knocked down at minus 110.
Oh yeah, it's simple, right? You talked about it. When a fighter, or even in sports, when a player has a track record like they've spent 24 rounds in the boxing ring together, and neither of them have been knocked down. So I love that prop bet. And if you guys have any comments, any best bets that you want to throw to us, you guys can drop them down in the comments, and we're going to get to them at the end. So make sure comment down below, and we're going to get to them. Malik, it's NFL time. Let's talk some NFL. And if you guys are, asking about college football, they're all on our Patreon. Go subscribe. We've got 10 complete best bets. Go subscribe. But for NFL, we're going to run through some games, and we're going to break down some over-unders and teams that we love to win. So, Malik, we're going to start it out with the Carolina Panthers versus the New York Giants. Last week, they lost a close game against the Cleveland Browns. I'm hammering the Panthers money line this week. There's a couple reasons why. The Carolina Panthers are facing a team in the Giants that don't have the caliber of defense that the Cleveland Browns did last week. The Giants defense, as Malik would call it, is a fence. They're not that good. They gave up 20-something points to the Tennessee Titans last week. Like, what are we talking about? So I like the Carolina Panthers to win this. And also a tidbit for you guys, a little note, if you will. The Giants are 0-10 in home openers in the past 10. They are 0-10. So Malik, I look at the Carolina Panthers with Christian McCaffrey, with DJ Moore, with Robbie Anderson, and I look at the stats too. I think that this is the game where the Carolina Panthers and Baker Mayfield finally get that first win. So I love the Panthers to bounce back after last week.
You see, it's tough for me. It's tough for me. I expected more out of Baker Mayfield, to be completely honest with you. I expected more out of this Carolina Panthers football team. I knew they were going up against the Browns. The Browns are more talented than the Giants. The Giants just found, I think the win that the Giants had, on this past Sunday, I think that's the type of game that could probably, string into more victories, if you will. I really do. I'm going to go against my better judgment here. I am. And I'm going to pick the Carolina Panthers, Dana, but I'm not happy about it, to be honest with you. I don't feel like this is a game you should put in any of your parlays. I don't think this is a game that you should be like, 100%, this is something we should do. So for that reason, I think that I'm gonna stick with the Carolina Panthers, but don't be shocked if the Giants pull this one.
Oh yeah, and that's why in betting you have to, like, one of the big mantras that we like is you have to go with the heavy favorite sometimes in your parlays, and that's, we're going to talk about some. But this is a game where at plus money, it's okay to throw down one unit on it, but be smart about it. Don't throw it in your parlays and expect for that long shot parlay to automatically cash. It's not necessarily, the golden ticket. So let's go to a team that is a heavy favorite, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Atlanta Falcons. I love this game, right? The Rams are coming off a huge loss last week against the Buffalo Bills. The Falcons played the Saints tough. The line's at 10, but this is the Rams bounce back game, right? The Rams still have Cooper Kupp. They still have Matt Stafford. And I look at the Falcons. The Falcons defense is trash. They gave up 14 points, at the end of the game. They started off the game good, but they let Jameis Winston absolutely run rampant on them at the end of the game. So I love the Rams in this one. I'm throwing them in my parlays, and I love the props. I've got a prop after we talk about the games in this game, but I love the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think the Rams are going to get it back in blood. To be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be all that close. If you ask me, I think the Rams are going to go out here and try to make a statement, and I expect them to make a statement. It's going to be exciting to see how it all shakes out at the end. I don't think the Falcons are this pushover like everyone anticipated them to be, and I do think that they can upset a team that isn't on their A game. So if the Rams don't come fully prepared, this is a game that the Falcons can win. I'm not going to sit up here and act like they can't. I've said it multiple weeks at this point in time. I think that the Rams are one of the most flawed teams to win a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. And I think that they have the makings for an upset if they walk into this game and they think they're just going to steamroll the Atlanta Falcons. I think they have got another thing coming, but I am picking the Rams.
Yeah, regardless, like exactly what you said, even if the Falcons make it a close game, I think that this is going to be more high scoring. So you can look at the Rams team total. You can look at the props, whether it's Matt Stafford over passing yards. We've got some others, but I like the Rams. And if you think it's the Falcons, maybe take the over in that game because it's going to be more high scoring.
Yeah.
So I've got a game, the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New England Patriots. There are a couple things that I like in this game, but we have to talk about it, right? Both of these teams have terrible offense, right? That's the bottom line. You look at the New England Patriots last week against the Dolphins, they look trash. The Dolphins' defensive line isn't elite. The Dolphins have a good secondary, but Mac Jones looked terrible. The offense didn't look like it had any punch. And then when you look at the other side, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got, I'm not going to say lucky, but their turnover differential in the last game, they, had a 4+ turnover differential, and their offense looked trash. They couldn't score the ball. They only had 12 first downs. The Patriots only had 13 first downs last week. So one of my favorite things about this game is I am hammering the under on this game. I don't like either offenses, and I think that this is going to be a close game, but I love the under in this game. Malik, do you have a specific side that you like in this game?
The Pittsburgh Steelers going away. It's in Pittsburgh. This is the game that Pittsburgh is going to thrive in. The Patriots don't have a capable offense. As simple as that. Don't overthink it. Pick the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, yeah. And that's something where that people like to look at the New England Patriots and they like to look at the pass a lot, right? Even last year, we talked about it before. Last year was somewhat of a fluke, right? They had 10 games. They made the playoffs. But who are we kidding? Their offense didn't look elite, and they lost a lot of talent on defense. So I look at the Patriots, who just lost last week to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are okay. They're not a great team. So the Steelers are at home. I completely agree with you, Malik. I like the Steelers in this one. Not one that I would hammer in the parlays, but once again, it's a close enough line to, if you take it as a straight bet, I love that. So we've got another game, and we're going to stick with the trend of the under. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. First off, this is a divisional game. A lot of times these divisional games are a lot closer than people anticipate. It's hard-nosed football. It's smash-mouth defense. And last week we saw the trend. Divisional games hit at, the under hit at an amazing clip. And one thing that people aren't talking about, it's going to rain again. Last week we saw the San Francisco 49ers and the Bears. They played, in somewhat, it was like a tsunami at the end of the game. The people were sliding. The same thing's going to happen. There's a 90% chance of rain. I look at the 49ers offense. They lack a lot of punch. George Kittle, he's questionable for this game. Look at the Seahawks. They had a huge game in week 1. I don't trust that offense. Geno Smith, it's good, but divisional game, I love the under in this game. Malik, what do you think about that?
What do I think about the under in the game? I don't think about I don't mess with unders and overs. I don't do that. I think yeah, I think your assessment was fine.
All right, so we're gonna switch it up to the Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans, and we've got one more game after this. So once again, if you have any comments, comment them down below, and also make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're doing this every single Saturday. We've got our live show Monday and Wednesday, but the Denver Broncos versus the Houston Texans. Once again, I think that this is another huge bounce back game. I like the Denver Broncos to bounce back with Russell Wilson, and they've got the two running backs that I absolutely love. Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, they go back and forth. They each, had a 50% snap share in the first game. So I think that this is a bounce back game. Last week, they were in Seattle. A lot of the media headlines were on them. They lost that. So I think that they're going to come back in a big way. I'm throwing them in my parlays. I love the Broncos today or tomorrow.
Broncos are going to bounce back in a big way against those Houston Texans. I like Davis Mills. I like the Houston Texans. I think they're underdogs. I think they're slept on. But I just think that this is the perfect storm. The Denver Broncos home opener, playing off of a lot of emotion. Going to be looking to prove the entire league that they're actually one of the teams to beat. So if you ask me, I think the Broncos are going to win this one going away.
Completely. And once again, I'm throwing them in my parlays. And another team that I am throwing in my parlays, we've got one last game to talk about. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Dallas Cowboys. This is a game where I think this is a bloodbath. I think that this game is going to be a complete, I think the Bengals are going to kill them. That's why I'm not just taking their money line. I'm not just throwing their money line in the parlays. I'm throwing the -7. I'm taking the spread in this game. When you look at it, the Cincinnati Bengals last week, take a back seat, right? The first half was terrible. Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions. Then what happened, right? Joe Burrow came back and they almost won the game. So you look at their offense, they still have huge firepower, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And you look at the defense was very good. They absolutely killed the Pittsburgh Steelers. As we talked about earlier, the Steelers had no offense, and a lot of that was a credit to the Bengals defense. So I look at who they're facing, the Dallas Cowboys, put up 3 points last week. They don't have Dak Prescott. They have Cooper Rush. So I see a team that, once again, Michael Gallup isn't playing. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have an okay run game, but that offensive line is terrible. I love the Bengals. They're going to come out and make a huge statement. I'm taking the spread, and I'm throwing the money line in the parlay.
Yeah, I like the Bengals in this game for a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons is I think a lot of people are, writing them off against the Dallas. I mean, not writing them off against the Dallas Cowboys, but writing them off this football season, especially after they, open the football season in a very interesting fashion, I would say, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just think that these are the type of games that Joe Burrow and company will thrive in. I'm excited to see Diggs versus Jamar Chase. Yeah, I think in my head I'm already like picking the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game, obviously. So I'm much more interested in potential matchups. Like I would definitely bet the over on Joe Burrow's passing yard, which is currently set at 260. If I were you, I'd hammer the over for sure. I expect Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase to have a big company. I also expect Hayden Hurst to have a big game as well. The guy seemed like he's starting to come into his own in the Cincinnati Bengals offense as the game went on. When the Bengals opened up the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, and I expect the same thing here against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys still can't cover tight ends. Micah Parsons is not necessarily playing in the open field necessarily. He's more so rushing the passer at this point. So if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, if you're betting on Cincinnati Bengals, I definitely take the over on a lot of their stuff. I actually want to see Joe Mixon continue to build off of a strong performance that he had last week as well. It's something I truly believe that he can. He seriously looked like he could, be in for a big season.
Oh, yeah. And not even just, a big season. Like you said, this is a statement game for them, right? They're coming off of a loss. The whole media, once again, is Joe Burrow that guy? 4 interceptions. What's wrong with Joe Burrow? So I think this is a huge statement game. They're going to go into Dallas. I saw some people saying, well, listen, you have to fade the public. You have to go, pick the Dallas Cowboys. What are we talking about, right? Use your better judgment. Look at the actual talent on paper. The Bengals are completely overmatched the Dallas Cowboys in every single facet of the game. Cincinnati Bengals are going to win this game.
Yeah,
Who are we
sure.
kidding? So I know we've got some comments, and we're going to get to the comments. I've got 3 player props, and this is kind of, my fun part where I take over, and I've got 3 props that I absolutely love for this week. We're going to go Cooper Kupp over 95.5 receiving yards. This is one I don't get the line, right? He hit this line in 19 of 21 games last year, Malik. 19 of 21. We saw in week 1 what happened. Cooper Kupp once again got 13 targets, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Matt Stafford loves Cooper Kupp.
I mean, when you don't trust any of your other receivers, I mean, I'd expect that.
Completely. And we saw Allen Robinson last week. What happened, right? The connection wasn't there. Who else you got? Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson. He's going to go to old reliable Cooper Kupp, go with the guy who did it all last year. And once again, I look at the Falcons defense. They're bad. They just let Jarvis Landry get 7 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. If Jarvis Landry can do that out of the slot, I think Cooper Kupp can do the same exact thing. I'm hammering the over, and I'm surprised, honestly, it's not at 105. I'm surprised because, like I said, 19 out of 21 games last year, he hit the over on 94.5. So I love Cooper Kupp. Hammer the over. I've got 2 more. Darren Waller, over 50 receiving yards. This is one, once again, I love this line. I look at the Raiders. The Raiders are playing the Cardinals, who got absolutely killed last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. And what did the Chiefs do? They went to their tight end, Travis Kelce. Kelce had 9 receptions for 115 yards, 1 touchdown. And I know Darren Waller, didn't get all the shine last week because Devontae Adams did, but he still had 65 receiving yards. So I look at them going against the Cardinals, who they tried Isaiah Simmons, they're trying Zaven Collins. They're okay, but their focus is going to be on Devontae Adams. And with that, they're going to go to old reliable Darren Waller, 50 receiving yards. He hit that line in 70% of games last year. Love Darren Waller in this game. So I'm hammering his over, and I'm surprised it's at 50. So my last one, and this is one, some of our fantasy guys have been all over him. Travis Etienne, I'm hammering his over 50 scrimmage yards. Last week, he hit the over, but one thing that also wasn't accounted for, last week, Trevor Lawrence overthrew him on a ball that could have easily got 20-plus yards. And once again, he had a touchdown pass that he dropped. So Travis Etienne, I think that he's going to have a huge game this week. James Robinson got a lot of snaps, but to be honest, Travis Etienne, he rushed 4 times for 40 yards last week. He looked explosive. Trevor Lawrence has a connection with Travis Etienne. And I look, they're going up against the Colts, who gave up 6 receptions and 50 yards, I believe, to Rex Burkhead. If they give up 6 receptions for, Rex Burkhead, I think Travis Etienne can easily eclipse 50 yards against the Colts in a game that I think is going to be a lot closer than people think. So those are my 3 props that I absolutely love. And Malik, we've got a couple questions in here that I want to, kind of touch on. Someone said they are hammering the Saints to upset the Bucks. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to hammer that, because I even saw some people said, the Saints have won the last 7 matchups against the Bucks. But people were saying that they're going to throw them into the parlays, all this. Malik, what's your thoughts on Saints versus Bucks real quick?
I think that it wouldn't be wise to absolutely hammer the Saints. I think that a lot has been made about Tom Brady struggling against New Orleans Saints, especially in New Orleans. And I think this is the type of game where Tom Brady will thrive in. This is expected to be Tom Brady's last season. I think Tom Brady's going to try to put an emphatic statement on a lot of these. He can't, quote unquote quotes that you're hearing about Tom Brady about this football season. I think that the Buccaneers are going to thrive in this game, and they're going to be.
Yeah, and I agree. And there's a reason why this spread is so close. So it's a divisional game. Once again, I agree. And we've got one last question real quick. Raiders versus Cardinals. I'm not taking a side. I'll be honest. I like the over. I think both offenses are good.
The Raiders.
I agree. Like the Raiders, they should win this game, right? The Cardinals looked absolutely trash last week against the Chiefs. I love both offenses. I don't love the Cardinals offense, but the Raiders defense it's not elite. Their defensive line's very good. I love the over in this game. So Malik, if you got nothing else, I think we covered a lot. We covered UFC, we covered boxing, we covered NFL. If you want more, make sure you go subscribe to the Patreon. We've got our full player props. We have at least 10 player props for week 1 there. We've got a lot of, we threw parlays in there. We even threw a huge underdog parlay. Make sure you go subscribe. If you want college football, UFC, last week we went 5-1 UFC. Go subscribe to the Patreon. You're going to win yourself a lot of money. So that'll do it for us here in the First Star Studio. We will be back here next Saturday. Tune in. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys very much.